Welcome back to Old Charles today. We're diving deep into one of the most iconic and collectible coins from American history, the United States 1974 half dollar. Whether you're a coin collector, a history lover, or just someone curious about old coins, this video will reveal everything you need to know, from its fascinating history, design details, current market value, and how condition affects its price. So, stay tuned till the end. You might be holding a hidden treasure. The 1974 half dollar belongs to the Kennedy half dollar series, which began in 1964, just a few months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. The U.S. Mint introduced this coin to honor the 35th President of the United States, and it quickly became a symbol of national pride and remembrance. By 1974, the half dollar had already undergone major changes. The earliest Kennedy half dollars from 1964 were made of 90% silver, but due to the rising cost of silver, the U.S. Mint reduced the silver content starting in 1965. From 1971 onward, including the 1974 version, the half dollar was struck in copper-nickel-clad composition, with an inner core of copper and outer layers of copper-nickel. These 1974 half dollars were produced in three main U.S. mints. The 1974 coin's design features the profile of President John F. Kennedy on the obverse, created by sculptor Gilroy Roberts, and the presidential seal on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparro. The reverse side proudly displays the eagle clutching arrows and an olive branch, representing strength and peace. The inscriptions United States of America and half dollar. This coin weighs 11.34 grams, has a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, and a reeded edge, giving it that distinctive texture when you run your finger along the rim. Now, let's talk about what most collectors want to know: the value of the 1974 Kennedy half dollar. Because this coin was made in large numbers, the circulated VE, worth around 50 cents to $1. Basically, their face value or slightly above it. However, the value can change significantly depending on the mint mark and condition, also very common, with over 79 million minted. In circulated grades, worth $0.50 to $1 in uncirculated condition. MS 65 plus can bring $4 to $20, depending on the luster and strike. Rare error coins, such as double die obverse, can reach values up to $100, $200 among collectors. These proof coins were not meant for circulation and were made for collectors. They have a beautiful mirror-like finish. A typical 1974 S-proof half dollar is worth between $5 and $15, depending on the clarity of the mirror surface and absence of scratches. Deep Cameo DCM versions can sell for $25, $40 or more. So, while most 1974 half dollars are common, pristine or error examples can fetch good money. The condition of your coin plays a massive role in determining its value. Collectors often grade coins based on details like wear, shine, and strike quality. Here's what to look for: if your 1974 half dollar has wear on Kennedy's hair, dull color, or scratches, it's likely circulated and worth about 50 cents to $1. If the details in Kennedy's hair and face are sharp, with full luster and no signs of wear, your coin could be MS 60 to MS 65, worth $3, $10. Proofs have a mirror-like background and frosted design. If yours looks shiny with high contrast, it's likely a proof coin, possibly worth $10, $30, depending on grade. Be on the lookout for double strikes, off-center minting, or doubling in the text "In God We Trust." These are rare and can increase the coin's value up to hundreds of dollars. Here are some fun facts and collector tips for your 1974 half dollar. Many Americans still remember using this coin in vending machines during the 1970s and 1980s. The Kennedy half dollar remains one of the longest-running coin designs still in production today. Always store your coins in a protective. Consider getting it graded by PCGS or NGC for authentication and valuation. So, the 1974 United States half dollar might not make you rich overnight, but it's definitely a piece of history worth keeping. It carries the legacy of President John F. Kennedy and a story that connects generations of Americans. The story of the 1974 United States half dollar takes us back to a time of remembrance, patriotism, and change in American coinage. This coin is part of the Kennedy half dollar series, first introduced in 1964. only a few months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in November 1963. The American people were deeply mourning their young and charismatic leader, and there was a strong public demand for a way to honor his memory permanently. Within just a few weeks of his death, the U.S. Mint and the Treasury Department made the historic decision to replace the Benjamin Franklin half-dollar with a new design featuring Kennedy's portrait. Chief engraver Gilroy Roberts was chosen to design the obverse, the front side of the coin, showing a left-facing bust of John F. Kennedy, symbolizing hope and progress. The reverse side, designed by Frank Gasparo, features the presidential seal, an eagle holding arrows and an olive branch, representing America's strength and peace. When the Kennedy half-dollar was released in 1964, it immediately became one of the most popular coins in U.S. history. People lined up at banks to get one, not for spending, but for keeping as a cherished memento of their beloved president. At that time, the 1964 half-dollar was made of 90% silver. But as the price of silver rose sharply in the mid-1960s, the U.S. Mint decided to reduce the silver content to 40% from 1965 to 1970. By 1971, silver was completely removed from the circulating half-dollars, replaced with a copper-nickel-clad composition, which continued through the 1974 issue. Now, the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar marked the 10th anniversary of this famous coin series. It was produced in 3 different mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; San Francisco, S mint mark. Proof coins. The total production numbers were enormous. Over 2.01 million half-dollars were struck that year across all mints combined. This was during a period when half-dollars were still used in some circulation, especially in casinos, vending machines, and by collectors. However, by the mid-1970s, everyday use of the half-dollar began to decline. Most people preferred smaller coins like quarters and dimes, which made the Kennedy half-dollar more of a collector's item than a coin used for shopping. Still, the 1974 issue holds a special place in American numismatic history. It reflects the transition from silver to clad coinage, the nation's continuing respect for Kennedy's legacy, and the evolution of U.S. Mint design and production technology. Each 1974 half-dollar, whether from Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, represents a piece of American memory. A memory of leadership, loss, and unity that defined an entire generation. When it comes to the 1974 United States half-dollar, condition is one of the most important factors that determines its value. 2 coins of the same year can have very different prices, just because of how well one has been preserved compared to the other. No signs of wear ** from circulation, although they may have small marks from the minting or storage process. The grading scale for uncirculated coins runs from MS 60 to MS 70, depending on the rarity and visibility of the error. Such coins can sell for $4.50, $100, or even several $100s among collectors. If you believe your 1974 half-dollar is in great shape or might be rare, here are some collector tips. Handle your coin only by the edges. Never touch the faces with bare fingers. Store it in a